Hello and welcome to another Pittsburgh Views how-to video. Today we're going to put parking brake actuators on a 2015 F150 owned by Mike from Autovlog.
I see it squealing, squeaking. Damn squeak. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell, Brian? Fix my truck.
Here, and the first thing we're going to do is remove the rear wheels and tires. Also, we're going to remove the centering rings for the aftermarket wheels. Next, since the rear differential cover is already leaking and we're going to reseal it, I'm going to remove that. First, you want to detach the ABS wire from the studs. Next, you're going to remove the 12 13mm bolts. I thread a bolt back in by hand to prevent the cover from falling off during removal. I use a thin flat blade screwdriver to pry the rear cover off. Be careful not to damage the cover or the housing.
So check out Brian's iPhone. Very interesting.
Very industrial.
Very industrial.
Next, you want to scrape all the old sealant from the differential cover. You want to make sure the surface is nice and clean. While the rear differential is continuing to drain, I'm going to remove the rear brake calipers. I use my C-clamp to depress the piston slightly to help ease removal. Next, I remove the two 18mm caliper anchor bracket bolts. Now you can pull the caliper and bracket off as an assembly and set it up on the spring. You never want the caliper to hang by the hose. Next, I pry back on the e-brake levers to remove tension from the shoes. Now you can remove the rotor. See the lever? That's what we're going to replace. If the rotor won't slide right off, sometimes you need to adjust down the rear shoes. You do that by removing this rubber grommet and turning the star wheel.
Not yet. My channel's under review though right now, so as soon as it gets reviewed, then I start making. It could take a while.
Now the rotor comes off easily. Next, I'm going to remove this 3/8 bolt from the differential pin. I use a double wrench method for extra leverage. Once the bolt is out, you can remove the differential pin. Once the pin is out, you can slide the row axles inward and remove the sleek clip axle retainers. Once the clip is removed, the axles slide right out. I use a rag to wipe down the axles so I don't leak fluid on the floor. To help ease with cable removal, I pull down on the cable and pinch it off with some vice grips. Next, you want to pop the spring clip off the pin. Spread the bottom of the shoes apart and remove the adjuster assembly. Then you can push the shoes together and remove the lower spring. Next, I grasped the shoe and pulled off the assembly, leaving the spring attached. Now you can depress this tab on the cable and remove it from the bracket. Once it's removed from the bracket, you can pull it off the lever. Now the lever should slide right out. You can see the old lever is completely frozen. The new lever moves nice and free. You can slide the new lever through the grommet in the backing plate. Now you can reinstall the shoe. Install the adjuster facing forward will help hold the shoe in place. Now, since I had an assistant handy, I used him to help me put the spring clip back on. You want to make sure the shoes are centered on the backing plate. Like I said, the adjuster always faces forward. Now you can reinstall the cable. First onto the lever, and then through the bracket.
Yeah, I struggle more with it than I thought I would.
Now you repeat the process on the other side. Most of the time, both side levers are frozen. Once you're done, you can reinstall the axle shafts. Next, you want to slide the axle shafts all the way in and reinstall the C-clip retainers. Make sure the spider gears are lined up and reinstall your pin. Next, you can reinstall the 3/8 bolt. The torque spec on this bolt is 22 foot-pounds. Next, you can reinstall the brake caliper assemblies. making sure the hose is not twisted before install. Now you can reinstall the two 18mm bolts. Torque spec on these is 181 foot-pounds. With the brakes installed, now you can put the rear wheels back on. The lug nut torque spec is 150 foot-pounds. We originally planned on installing this G2 diff cover, but realized it's for a 9 3/4 rear end and Mike's is at 8.8. But here you can see the difference in the covers. The G2 holds substantially more fluid and has a dipstick in the top. And it has a built-in gasket. This concludes our how-to video for the day. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned something. As always, thanks for checking out my channel, and please subscribe if you haven't already.